canceled Kombat Pack 3 static. Has some static for WB. And Street Fighter 6 patch is shaking things up. Welcome to Double Tap, the Smash Those Buttons podcast dedicated to everything and anything in the fighting game community. I'm, of course, your host, Crash. And with me, I've got my partners in crime, Static in the building. Obviously, due to the title there, he's here. And then we've got Ja as well, making a return. He's kind of been missed for a little bit. But you know, when we have industry talk, that means Ja has to get in the building because he's got that knowledge. So he's just going to drop it in for us.
It's good to be back, but technically speaking, I'm here every week.
He's actually technically here. Yeah, he's here every week. Sometimes y'all just don't hear him. Yeah. He's in our heads all the time.
He listens to the show more than once.
Welcome, guys. Welcome once again to Double Tap podcast dedicated to everything in the fighting community. If you haven't already, make sure to follow the show at Double Tap FGC on our social media, including Blue Sky. We're out there as well. DoubleTap.gg should take us there. I think Jack was probably up.
Pretty sure that it's DoubleTap.gg.
Yes. Yeah, cool, awesome, got it right. So you guys go check us out over there if you're in the mass exodus of the Twitter space. In the meantime, though, we've got some things to talk about. There's some bullets that have been dodged by some pro players this week. There are, like I said, there's the patches that came down, and like I said, the talks with MK is actually what we're going to be getting started on here. We've covered Khaos Reigns in the past, right? The Kombat Pack 2 that came out that gave us a bunch of new old characters, new looks for old characters, some and an extension on the story mode, which you guys want to check out our impressions of that. Check out a previous episode for that. But the word on the street right now is there's some content that's being canceled because Khaos Reigns did not, shocker, sell too well at the same time. Could be a lot of different reasons for that. Could be, I don't know, maybe underwhelming characters, maybe just enough content, maybe a $60 price tag that came along with it. You can kind of take your pick there. But a known leaker, Ice Cream, Ice Cream, Fate Unknown, actually posted up stating that Kombat Pack 3 and the second story expansion were planned, all canceled recently. No more characters after Kombat Pack 2. A cameo or two might make it since there's been some work done on them, but I don't know yet. Then it was just followed up, hey, why, thanks for the info, any reason why? And they said, because Khaos Reigns sold poorly. Besides that, we got some details on some of the characters and things that were planned, but I mean, how's that news shake up to you guys? Is that something with how WB has been recently with things like their financials that, their quarterly financial call that they did, and kind of like how they did state they were going to focus on their products that are making the money, like your Hogwarts, they did drop MK in there because, regardless of what the DLC is, MK did sell. Lord of the Rings, like they're focusing, they're trying, they want to make, their business, they want to make that money, but this feels like it's kind of like the opposite. You think there's a potential shift here as to maybe what game they're going to be focused on next?
I just feel like this is more of the route of almost like this is going to become what we saw with Ubisoft and how many Assassin's Creeds we got, which was like every year was a new Assassin's Creed. Or if you even go to like Activision and how they oversaturate the Call of Duty market, I mean, it's almost feeling like, all right, we're not seeing money from this new DLC. Granted, it was $60. I was bringing it up to you guys because it's like, is WB sort of looking to become like these once a year games, like maybe once every 2 years or once a year, or maybe Injustice is not something that they're looking towards making a third one because they just made 2 Mortal Kombats. Again, 11 came out, 2019 spring?
Yeah.
And then they already had during COVID, there was the Aftermath, which was $30 or $40. We did check that out live on the show a couple years ago. And that did well because it was adding to the story. It was intriguing, new characters. And I mean, it wasn't 60. It wasn't a whole new game. But then you get to how it is this year. And granted, people are falling off from the game. You have all these other issues. And it's also another game almost entirely, which you can watch the story mode online, kind of like how I did. So yeah, these are things that didn't make me like, how do I say? I didn't like how Assassin's Creed was going, where it's like Assassin's Creed 2, Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, Assassin's Creed 3, Black Flag, maybe Assassin's Creed America, I don't know, whatever else. Here's the ship one, and it's like is there nothing important about the last one? Like MK11 is going to feel like it's in, MK1 is going to feel like it's in the dust, where it's like, did that game even matter? Like, is the story part of it, or is it just, another fighting game to them?
I get what you mean. I mean, a part of me is also kind of like, the NRS meme that the competitive scene has always had, right? Where it's like they drop a game, they give it about like a year or two at most, and then DLC support ends, new game. Yeah. Get hype, rinse and repeat. And it was like that for a while. I think like from the MK9 to about the Injustice to Injustice 2 kind of broke the mold a bit there. But then MK11 also did, because they were kind of extending the time in which they were supporting the game. But I mean, like, it feels like this definitely feels like it's coming from, like, it's definitely pressure from WB, like, to NRS, because Ed Boon had been on record to be like, hey, we are looking to support this game like years to come. I mean, could he technically go back? It's been 2 years, so technically years, plural. I did not fucking lie. Like, you could play that card. Are you gonna lose face? Yeah, probably. But yeah, it's like, it's interesting that the leak kind of came up, because, I mean, to be perfectly honest, MK1 is fun.
Yeah,
the game is actually fun. The game is actually fun, but it's just taking like a lot of missteps here in terms of like the value you're getting for what the content is in the game right now. And it's taken a while to get it to a good place. And like, you only have so long. Like, as the player base, kind of gets a little bit, beaten up by whether it's the cost or the content, like, you only have so much. It's only going to dwindle. So you have to capture as much as you can, as quick as you can. Don't get me wrong, it still sold millions. It definitely made WB money. But in terms of like the plans and what we were expecting, this decision feels like it's just coming out of left field.
But it's not a competitive focus. Like, yeah, go ahead.
It never is. Yeah. The decisions are never a competitive focus. And DLC is not a, hey, we should give this competitive scene more characters. No, the DLC is, hey, we want to squeeze as many dollars as we can. What can we throw out there to get the casuals? Oh, competitive like this? Okay, cool. There could be another market that we get it. But the point is that how much can we sell?
And I'm not saying it should. I'm just saying that, like, I'm saying a lot of things. But go on, Ja, you were saying.
I just think there's a lot to unpack here. I do want to start by saying, because I don't want to bring this up later, you really need to keep Assassin's Creed Brotherhood out of your mouth. Okay? That's the first thing you need to do.
No, wait, trust me. Wait. Great games. No, trust me. I even if I didn't play some of them, there's just a lot. You see how there's just oversaturation in the market.
Well, yeah, I know what you mean. And just to clarify, for those who don't know, the Assassin's Creed Brotherhood game itself was actually content from Assassin's Creed 2 they could not fit into the game. That's how much content they made for Assassin's Creed 2. That's why Brotherhood exists.
I love the Italy stuff. All of that is amazing.
It's Revelations and beyond for what you're talking about.
But because of that, that's what happened to all the past ones for me. They all just blend, and I can see that happening to Mortal Kombat. Like 11, 12, if we're going to go from 1 to 13 and beyond.
So just to be clear, right? Yeah. I'm going to get into why I don't think WB Games is trying to turn Mortal Kombat into a yearly franchise, but I'll get into that. But if they could, they would. Because every single publisher wants reoccurring revenue. Okay? Yeah. I think this didn't really hit overdrive until Activision decided they were going to make a non-sports game a yearly franchise. They did that with Call of Duty. I think starting with Call of Duty 2. They're like, we're putting out a Call of Duty every year, and this is our Madden now, right? And technically speaking, they had been doing that with like Tony Hawk, and they drove that into the ground. So and actually, and EA was doing it obviously with Madden, but they were also doing it with Need for Speed. And those franchises died for them to learn some major lessons from that. And it's actually the lesson that they learned is that you need more than one developer if you're going to do that every year, right? So the reason I don't think WB Games is going to try to turn Mortal Kombat into a yearly franchise, they don't, to my knowledge, I mean, they may own some studios that I'm not thinking about. They literally do not have the dev support to start pumping out yearly franchises, especially for something like Mortal Kombat, because the reason Call of Duty comes out every year is because I think they have a rotation of 3 studios working on that. Infinity Ward, Raven, and
Treyarch
Treyarch
anymore or no? Yeah, Treyarch.
Yeah, and Treyarch. And I think those are the three. I think it's Raven. That is.
So that's why there's Black Ops, Modern Warfare, and
exactly. And what does Treyarch make? They make Black Ops, baby. That is it.
Right.
Like, you know, and then Infinity Ward and I think Raven are the ones that kind of weave in and out of what they want to do. But those three studios, like, Call of Duty isn't made every year. It takes 3 years to make a Call of Duty game, which is amazing, by the way, that they can pump out a Call of Duty in 3 years. That is highly, highly impressive. And so, like, that's how, you know, when you have these games that are yearly, it takes multiple studios. I don't think WB has the roster for that, just in terms of the studios that they own.
Well, I mean, the amount of people that are constantly playing that you have to update Warzone constantly. Like, Warzone itself is a monster that people just keep playing and die, and they'll restart it. Fighting games is kind of the same way, but there's a lower retention of how many players are continuously playing when it comes to Mortal Kombat, and how long it takes to get into another game, or even just the frustration level of I'm gonna rage quit and throw and yell in my controller and throw the controller away. Like, right.
For fighting games, for you to have a yearly fighting game, it's not based on the multiplayer. It's based on it. Your single player would have to be fantastic. Like, your story content would have to be fantastic. This is why Capcom would never with Street Fighter, because they're just figuring out how to make single player content for Street Fighter that people kind of like. NRS could actually get away with it. You know what I'm saying? They could if they delivered enough single player content. But, like, yeah, when it comes to multiplayer, the average person isn't playing Mortal Kombat for the multiplayer because it doesn't have any feel good mechanics. It really doesn't, unless you're good at the game. It feels good to beat the shit out of somebody. You know what I'm saying?
Somebody's spine, you feel great. Grandmama, look at this.
Exactly. But, like, it doesn't have the mechanics that a Warzone does, or an Overwatch does, or an Apex Legends does, that will give you that gotcha moment that you can, you know, even if you're kind of like scrubby, you'll get those moments more frequently. You know what I'm saying? You know,
yeah.
I don't think, just because they canceled, and let's assume that this is true. I think the rest of the conversation, we're assuming that it is true that they canceled.
Let's put it with a grain of salt here. Yes.
Exactly. We're assuming that it's true that they're canceling Kombat Pack 3. It doesn't mean they're not making any more content for Mortal Kombat 1. It means they could be changing their strategy around it. Their strategy could have been to put out this yearly content, like, you know, new characters every year, which that can only go so far, because every character you put in this game, that adds another level of complexity to the balancing of it, and that leads to more money you have to spend every year. Like, it's an increasing cost. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I don't think they were going to do that forever. But, you know, they were probably planning on just putting out more story, and
which they should, because that's what MK, the lore, like, bro, if there's one thing you can lean on with MK, should be the lore and the story. And
right.
So the characters, like they should really be leaning into that, because that's what people like. Characters are great, but, like, that's why you can pump out animated movies with this franchise and other theatrical movies, and people will go and check it out.
Right.
Don't have to play the game. Just want to watch it.
And I think it would have worked, but like you said, the price was putting a lot of people off. And I think with gamers in general, this is not just FGC, this is gamers in general. The cost of games and what people perceive as value when they're buying games does not actually match up with how much the games cost, right? We just, you know, I would say but we just got it. But, you know, since 2020, games have been $70, and more games have been, like, solidly $70. Like, when you're buying a AAA title, you expect to pay $70 now. Yeah. That is still not enough. That's actually still not enough to be paying for these games with as much money as they cost.
It's almost like $100 or something like that.
It's supposed to be over $100. It really should.
Right?
With how many copies the average game sells, probably $100, right? You would have to sell so many copies for $70 to be okay. That's why Spider-Man could be sold at $60-$70, and it's okay because they're selling tens of millions of copies. God of War, The Last of Us, like, they're selling Halo, selling ridiculous amount of copies. But most games, like, you know, Street Fighter, they're looking to sell 10 million over its lifetime.
5 years, at least 5 years.
5, 6 years, and they're happy, and they're very happy with that. And so in WB's head, like when they're putting this game out, and NRS isn't setting the price, it is WB setting the price. And WB's head, they're like, okay, well, we spent this amount of money on this game, and we spent this amount of money on this content. It needs to be $60, for us to make a profit. And then it just wasn't enough content for what the gamers or the people who bought it felt it should have been, which I technically speaking, like, I understand the economics of the game development side of it, but if your consumer feels like the cost isn't worth it, it's overpriced. So I'll kind of, say that. So I think maybe they might just go back to not the drawing board, but go back and try to just, figure something out, right? They might try to figure out the best way to approach DLC going forward. Maybe they don't put DLC out every year. Maybe they, put a bit more into the content and then release it every other year, with a good price tag,
a patch,
right?
or something as well.
Like if they could deliver 10 hours of story, actually no, because the main game is not even 10 hours of story, right? So if they could deliver like 6 hours of story, with maybe some additional characters, 6-7 hours of story, and then maybe put that out for like $50-$60, they might be better off. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But then it's go ahead.
Go on.
Yeah. No, I was just gonna talk about the tweets that we had seen. Like, people still like Mortal Kombat, the franchise, but then there's like people already making up their wish list of the next Mortal Kombat as if Mortal Kombat's dead. And it's like, what do you guys really truly want? Like, you just want, like, I don't know what people want. I don't think they know what they want either.
I don't know if anyone was lining up for things like, I want to like just point fingers, but the content, once again, for things like the DLC plays a big factor, right? It is the factor. And when you looked at, what is it? Noob, Sector, Cyrex, Ghostface, which is the most recent character at this time of recording that just come out, Conan
T1000
and T1000. I was like, the all except for like those two guest characters, Conan and T1000, like, okay, whatever. Like nobody this generation asked for those. Like, I just want to be very clear. Some people don't even know what the fuck those characters are.
More Arnold.
What Arnold, right? They're like, which Arnold is this one? That's okay. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But like, and then the rest were just like returning characters, minus the Ghostface being kind of the only, I guess, like original, but he's like, the horror movie checkbox that MK has been known to dive into and have. Like, the content and stuff was also just like it wasn't impactful enough, I think, for people. Right. Which is why things like, it's been also supposedly leaked that some of the characters for the next combat pack were kind of a bit more on the side that I think would have gotten people a bit more hype. I mean, it's kind of hype. Like, once again, grain of salt. Supposedly Blaze, Triborg, which I mean could kind of work with the whole Sector Cyrex thing just being introduced, so they could kind of follow up on it, especially if they're continuing a story with it, because they kind of still left it open at the end to continue content for a story in the future, which I think is the right move. Jade, right? Historically, a character that people, very popular, people want to see, and then you have your guest characters like Buffy, the Vampire Slayer.
Was that supposed to be Buffy? Okay, yeah, thanks.
Yeah, it's Buffy. Because she's also been something that's been requested for a long time. And it's supposed to be Wolverine, but I'm like, hey, Wolverine, WB versus DC. That's a stretch. That's where I was kind of like a little bit of a flag there on the field. Let me just throw the red flag and see. I'm not sure how that would really work.
I see the owl guy, Night Owl, before I see Wolverine in this.
Oh, Night Owl. Yeah, Night Owl, like the evil Batman. Yeah. But, I wouldn't say it's coming out with some more familiar characters, things like that would have definitely, helped a bit more. The content is definitely, the choice was just, between the choice of the content you're getting and the cost, and like that doesn't put a good precedence on things. And if these are actual decisions coming from WB, like, hey, we need to clean this up, or we're canceling this and we're going to move on, which that's worst case scenario. But at the other side, the other side of it, the reason I bring it up is because we knew that they, like, Injustice 3 is inevitable. Like Injustice 3 is going to still be inevitable. Like, it's going to happen at some point. We don't know when, but the fact that usually this is actually what we were even expecting as well. Injustice 3 was what we were expecting. MK1 was actually a surprise because they don't go MK to an MK. They usually throw something in between at this point, it is just Injustice in between to kind of, for one, hit a completely different market. You know, maybe, hey, superhero fatigue is real, right? And they wanted to avoid that, but now it's like, well, the way this is being executed, it just did not feel as polished. And it's like it could add to that potential argument that, you know, maybe it wasn't the initial idea, but maybe WWE's trying to just be like, hey, you know, they've already been very, very clear that they're trying to get rid of even like their games side of the industry. They're looking to sell. Like NRS is technically available to they're looking that they could sell it if they would, kind of deal, and recoup whatever they can. So it's like, what other choices are they willing to just throw out there and be like, well, what can we salvage here?
Well, even that argument about them trying to sell it, like the fact that they can't sell it is because they have a value for it and they want more money than people are willing to pay for it, because
True that.
you know, Hogwarts is making money, Mortal Kombat, like NRS is making money, like they are making money, but they were in like a really, I don't know, man, they were in a really interesting financial situation, one that I guess from a business perspective, it says they should be really looking at their C-suite and finding out what's going on. Like, you know, because of how do you have all this great product, but you're still losing this amount, like you're not making the money you're supposed to be making. But that's a whole other podcast. But the thing about it is like, if you want to like kind of like a real look into what's happening with AAA games right now and single player games, you really got to look at that Insomniac leak, which may sound surprising, but that Insomniac leak that happened last October, November, or something like that, really revealed like the type of situation they're in. Because like for it to come out that Spider-Man 2, a game that's a sequel, reused a bunch of assets, like because most of Miles' costumes in that game were from the previous game. Okay.
Yeah.
Cost $300 million to make. And I don't think they were just wasting money. I think that's how much it cost. You know what I'm saying? For them to do it. Like they're not sitting there like twiddling their thumbs and having like huge pizza parties. You know what I'm saying? Like they're like, that's how much it costs. Like, and it kind of really revealed like how much it costs to make games now. Like it was, I had already known that making games was expensive, but I didn't realize it had gotten that bad. And so they were like one part of that leak was talking about how they're going to handle Spider-Man 3 based on what happened with Spider-Man 2, right? And remember, this Spider-Man 2 also no DLC that we know of, $300 million, and so they're like, they know the next game is going to cost that much.
The movie's coming out. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, I was like, the next
Craven movie,
right? Yeah. So like the next game they know is probably going to cost as much or more to make, and they're like, how are we going to possibly sell this? And they're talking about doing standalone expansions at like $50 a pop and, you know, stuff like that. And so the industry right now is really trying to figure out like how they deal with the cost of making games, possibly lower the cost of making games, but at the same time, charge a price that consumers will pay. So a lot of times when these games are being developed, they're being developed with long tails in mind. Like the only reason they're even getting the funding to make these games is because they expect that either the trail of money from that title will be long, or the game is going to lay down like a foundation that they continue to use. So it's a possibility that, you know, they have Mortal Kombat 1, right? And then essentially they make Mortal Kombat 2, but it's a standalone expansion. Maybe some upgrades, but for the most part, a standalone expansion, which, by the way, I'm perfectly fine with. The game is beautiful. The game is beautiful. You don't have to be Valve just because you can't figure out a way to make it better, not make it. That came out recently about Half-Life 3. I was like, Gabe, get out of my face. Not this Gabe, like Gabe Newell. But like,
I know exactly. G-Man, right?
But like, that could be the path, you know, that they're like, okay, well, let's work on Mortal Kombat 2 and essentially just use the same systems we have in Mortal Kombat 1. They'll probably maybe fix some pain points, but not spend too much in terms of rebuilding a new system, rebuilding a whole bunch of tooling, you know. I mean, technically speaking, like I think if they move to Injustice, you got to do more, right? That is building a game from scratch. So people are going to be expecting a lot more from it. But like, honestly, bro, imagine if they just took MK11 and made it a little bit better. Like,
I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, I actually like the way MK11 looked for a lot of these characters. They did a lot of the characters justice. It's so funny that we're like defending 11 after all the shit that is.
I'm not. I'm sorry.
MK1 even. I mean, I'm not defending the gameplay. The gameplay still definitely needs some works. But yeah, like I wouldn't be if they would have came out with MK1 and even just if they would have saved themselves all the time of how the changing up the characters and redoing all of this. Like, sure, maybe they can upgrade them. Sure, that's fine. They still already looked fine. It's not like a generational leap we're doing here.
Right.
It's not like you look back and go like, oh my god. Like you can now maybe look back at like MKX and be like, oh my god. But you know, this still has its moments. MKX, but that was the point of how it looked.
It still looks pretty good. I loaded it up.
It still looks good. It has its moments.
I loaded it up a couple months ago. Like it actually still looks pretty good. So
it still does. So I'm like, yeah, if they could just do a trade-off of like, listen, like in fighting games especially, like you could just lean into a style. It doesn't have to be the craziest. Like what is it? City of the Wolves is a perfect example. They're just going super stylized. Like this is not like groundbreaking. You know, we're gonna look at every pore on Terry's face. We want to see the dimple on Mai's cheeks or something. Like, nah. Like I meant face cheeks. All right, yeah. Like relax. But like, you know, it just looks good. And it's like if the game is fun, the game it's going to do well. And when you have an IP like MK behind them, like, dude, like just take the time to what it is, to put it to what it needs to be, making the game fun and then creating the content around it, like looks and stuff. Like you already did the groundwork. I'd be fine if they did, like you said, Ja, like MK2. Just make it an MK1, but with just an overhaul on, you know, how the gameplay is, expand on the content. Like that'd be great. You already did all this work. Like, you could, you know, as much as you want to squeeze out of DLC, I see no reason why they couldn't squeeze out more out of the work they already put in to just create more content from it. But yeah, long-winded rant, but it's, you know what, it's because we got nothing but love for MK. I mean, we're all fans. A lot of people are fans for MK. It's a reason why it's a cultural icon.
I said it before. We have a short about it. Nobody wants MK to be bad. Everybody wants MK to be good and enjoy it. Everybody. Like, so yeah, that's why there's always strong opinions about it. So, you know,
there's a reason. We got to bring, you know, you can't come up with a game, get rid of Hanzo, aka the original Scorpion, and give not only his drip but his wife to the dude's brother. Like, that's just disrespectful, man. You wonder why people are mad. It's crazy that they did that to the man. But the other part that's crazy is that we're going to be taking this quick break because when we come back, we're going to talk about some Street Fighter 6 patches that have come here at the final hour, minutes to midnight for some people, especially for those that are competing on the World Warrior and the Capcom Pro Tour. But we'll get into that right after this. All right, we're back. What we talk about? Oh yeah, we don't want MK1 to suck. We don't want MK to suck in general. But that was like kind of a TLDR of the whole discussion. Let's talk about some Street Fighter. So Street Fighter 6 has just gotten its 1 week notice static. I think that's like how long they gave everybody. About like a week, but when they announced, hey, there's a patch coming around. Nothing major, nothing super major, as they say. They're doing one big patch a year with a bunch of other different patches throughout. This one kind of much more impactful than we expected, though.
It was on the 27th. So that was about 5 days ago.
Damn. Okay, not even a full like
on last Wednesday.
Kinda. So, it went off. It went off yesterday, right? It was on the 2nd, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was playing and I'm like, maintenance. Oh yeah, yeah, right. Yeah. So we checked it and there was there's a lot. There's actually a lot, even though they say it's not much. There's a lot.
Yeah. Very. They're kind of fucking lying in some cases here.
Yeah, but it wasn't. They say it's not major like the Akuma one, but all characters will receive changes. That's kind of major anyway.
Yeah. First of all, yeah. Like so, a bunch of characters. Kind of like the way it went is top tiers got touched. 2 specific ones kind of got a little bit on the murder side. Others got buffs. There's some glitches that really don't really affect like in sense of like the casual, more like the intermediate. Like it's a really more high execution, super high level like kind of change on some bug fixes. But characters got touched. Some of the go-to America's Most Wanted. Still eludes. Rashid did not get hit that hard on him. Kind of made you more of a reason to keep his Super 2, his level 2, which is still kind of like the best super in the game.
I think what they did was they changed the opportunity on knockdowns, on very popular knockdowns that cause for Super 2 to be good.
Yeah.
They took away how much advantage there is on those knockdowns. For instance, a lot of EX tornadoes were happening into maybe level 2 Super. Because it changed from like 20 something plus frames to 5. Now, but at the same time, I think what I was saying on my stream yesterday was that I think EX should maybe just go up, and then the EX in the tornado should go the medium direction, the diagonal direction. And that would still not take away what they get buffed, into the corner carry and all of that stuff when there's a tornado enhancement. But what do I know? I'm not a dev. And at the same time, I mean, it would have been easier to
consume product.
Right, yeah,
consume product.
Consume,
Just shush.
But then
consume
there was
these frames.
So you talk about Rashid, but there was a lot of sweep changes. Characters can get more punished on their sweeps. Particularly, what's funny is I read that. I'm like, what characters are affected? It literally said it in the next sentence. It was like Ryu, Chun. Let me see. What was it?
Yeah, like Akuma.
Yes. Jamie, Ken,
I think it's like
Cammy,
Akuma, Jamie, Ken. Yeah.
Bison.
Yes.
Right. So yep. Go ahead.
So there was some system changes, but nothing. I'll say not too crazy. Like I said, the normal throw thing on active frames of like the normal throw, which is like how long the throw is out there and active for before you actually get gripped. Coming into contact with the animation of jumping, like that was like a weird way to kind of change it up. So it kind of affected characters like Geef, especially in that sense. Some other just bug fixes, super armor, hitboxes, collision, push boxes. They really talk about collision. Like hitboxes, hurt boxes. Like that was the name of the game. People got touched like when we're saying hurt box, obviously for those that don't know, hurt box is being the actual box that your character has that a move needs to register with to register a hit. If my punch goes out and it has this hit box, it needs to hit your hurt box in order to register, right? Other than that, it's called what? A whiff. When it doesn't actually make contact. But yeah, they changed it to a bunch of different characters, different moves. Some like on later parts of their actual like active frames and all. So that it allows for situations like more whiff punishing to be occurring on some of these characters. Once again, not everyone got touched, but for the ones that really did, it did affect them. For an example, like Cammy's crouching medium punch which has also been a kind of a thorn in a lot of people's sides when they play against the character. It's been expanded when it misses now. There's other things that got touched for her, but I mean, before we go into I don't want to go to every detail on everyone, but what I want to hear from Static, actually, we're going to do a 3, 2, 1 real fast to see who are the winners and who are the losers here.
Okay.
Just throw out a name, all right?
Yes.
So we're going to go with the winners, all right?
Yes.
Who we think has won in this patch.
Yes.
All right, we'll give you that 3, 2, 1.
Kimberly.
Oh. Okay. All right. Well, those two characters did get touched pretty well. Like Kimberly I was actually very surprised as to how much Kim kind of got like buffed up. I mean, what's going on with her? So
on a character who's already pretty annoying to people because she feels pretty brain dead, she got a buff to her jab. Now, granted, when you see that I had a hiccup there. When you see that certain buttons are like negative, remember they're also different on drive. So one of my good friends, he came to my stream last night. It's Hanma Blood, aka Black Kyle, as we know him here in the local scene. He came into my chat and was like, "I can't stand that Ken had." This is before the patch. Before the patch was even live. He goes, "I can't stand that Ken has. I just noticed that he has +3 on his jabs in Drive Rush." I'm like, "What?" And then as we're having that conversation, Kimberly's jab changes that day to being +3 on Drive Rush. And it was like, oh snap. I think this is the change we were just talking about, Kyle. And he's like, "Oh man, I can't believe it. This game is done. I'm going to bed, Gabe." And I'm like, "All right, good night." So like,
you know how crazy a patch has to be to make a motherfucker go to bed angry? When you read it, you're like,
he's a jury main. So
yeah, I'm about to say he's got nothing to complain about. Jury got some.
He will fight you
on.
to the death with that statement. Trust me.
Oh okay.
Yeah. Everybody downplays their main characters.
He plays Ramlethal and Guilty Gear Strive. That's all I need to know.
Right. So like, look,
guy.
Other wins is like that slide, like on those first active frames, it is a fixed amount of like advantage that she gets on hit, but also a fixed amount on I think it's a fixed amount only on those first active frames, but on the later frames it's still the same. So they change it so that those first ones will remain to be either advantage on hit or negative on block. The forward heavy kick change is pretty good. The hurt box on the up kick, on the run up kick, is very good too. I don't remember any like they were just, I don't want to say quality of life, but like better frame data and things like of those natures. Like, I'm still bad with the character, but I'm still learning. But I don't remember what else stuck out to me. Oh, the stand fierce change.
I was gonna say, the stand fierce
moving
is good.
forward, and just especially if you want to punish, like do a good whiff punish. That change was pretty gnarly. But so that's my winner of the game. I mean, anything that can get your buttons to be a bit more farther, especially your punish counter buttons, is pretty darn good. Oh, and light vagabond edge is pretty good change too. That's the light elbow. It changed recovery from 5 to 4, so that means that some medium punch buttons aren't going to punish it as much. So
as much, yeah.
Exactly.
Now you need a 4-framer light, like for sure, and it has to be at a good. And once again, like we talk about like negative frames, and it's like -4, and like the fastest button in Street Fighter 6 is a 4-framer, right? But that's on paper. Like it could be -4, but if your distance, because it's a light, lights don't tend to go super far unless you were Ed. But now even that's also changing. They won't actually punish you. So it's like that one additional frame of less recovery is could be really important.
And I was checking it out. It says like pushback on hit reduced. Change the knockback that occurs when the attack hits on the 3rd active frame. So if you're one of those like scientists in the lab and you get that delay, like that active, like the 3rd frame, and you meet it perfectly, that might be even better for you. You can combo afterwards, which is pretty cool. And this adjustment was made to make it easier to determine whether or not the follow-up attack is possible, just like I said. But I still think Super R2 is bad.
Which is Super R2? That's the grip, right?
Yeah.
No, in air.
Yeah. It says startup for the aerial version was made faster only when canceling from an overdrive attack. So that means EX Tatsu or even any overdrive attack, basically.
Well, it's because I think that thing has had some very weird interactions in the past where it might whiff or something. Like I have seen it. Shout outs to MJ, one of the better Kim players, or one of the best Kim players in North America. You know what it is. Shut up, man. Once I see you start hitting like he does, then I'll call you one of those. But until then, work on it.
No, he's fine. He plays Terry now.
Yes, actually, which good segue. Terry, man, +1. Like we don't need to talk about nothing else but +1 on his standing fierce. Holy shit, my man was -1. Now he went to +1. Now he's got some wild loops. That honestly, like his mid-range game kind of was kind of lacking. Like to be perfectly honest, he had like good buttons, but his frame data just like sucked. His frame data was just not good. Also, shout out to MJ, who also ends up, like you said, plays him. I can't wait to see what those changes are going to be like when he takes them out there.
One of the things about Terry was he was just one like adjustment away from almost having an infinite. I'm surprised nobody's found one yet with him because of the EX power wave. Like having the EX power wave the way it is almost felt like it would have been cheating if his buttons were too good. Like frame data wise, and now they're better.
Now they're better, which actually what's already happened. There's already, I don't know if you saw the clip of like the standing medium punch into drive rush into standing medium punch, and then continuing that is actually a loop, and he can actually just chip you down into level 3 from like a good percentage. Right. Yeah, it's happening. But once again, you have to get the drive rush. You have to assume you're not going to get drive reversal either. There are things in place. It's not a true infinite. It's not uninteractable. Once again, something's cheap when you or your opponent literally within the rules of the game and the system mechanics before you cannot do anything about it.
So burnout.
That's when you know something is broken, all right? So like if you go to a local and you see some wild shit, if you go down and find out like you literally can't do anything within the confines of the game, that shit is broken, and you are rightfully okay to be mad and salty. Other than that, figure out your fucking options.
Go home to training mode.
Exactly. Other than that, but ask those questions.
You said Ryu, man.
Yes. Ryu, Mr. Vanilla, Mr. I'm the worst Shoto.
Ordinary.
Mr. Ordinary guy. Actually, with Akuma actually getting some nerfs on several things like his demon flip, his pokes as well with his like forward medium kick and all, and less damage on things like his Super R2, which they just melt your health bar, which rightfully so, right? That's Akuma's MO. He's actually been hit a little bit. So we'll right now on paper, once again, this is like patches super fresh, Twitter feeds, Blue Sky feeds, whatever. They're popping off with just what people are discovering right now. But Ryu, at the moment, he's looking like he's getting that power creep, man. Like even from the last patch, people are like, yo, damn, Ryu's like kind of getting beastly. Like I think he is like. This potentially could put him a little bit on the edge, but like one more patch, even like half of like what he's getting right now, I think he'll start breaking into those higher echelons of characters. So he ended up getting some changes to things like his donkey kick. It's the one where he like kicks back and literally just slides and you just get nothing but heel to your nose. Got changed up. His axe kick, which is forward heavy kick, that's that little pop kick. It's the most stylish thing Ryu has in his whole kit. It's literally just to like do a half roundhouse kick forward. It's like the most stylish thing my man has. Now can cancel to actually to regular air hurricane kick, which is really cool because I mean he could already do it for like EX, but the problem with like EX or OD hurricane kick is that it like launches your opponent away. So if you do it in mid screen, you kind of like now created this gap in between. Is it a decent combo ender or whatever? Like sure, because you can kind of push your opponent to the corner, but now you have all this gap to take,
and you can make a stock as well. But still,
yes, that's like the trade-off, right? You guarantee yourself a Denji stock if that happens. Now though, with being able to cancel into a standard hurricane kick, he follows along, right? Like any Ryu that does a hurricane kick on ending a combo or whatever, he's like next to you. He's usually plus. There's safe jumps available. Now he has access to that in certain combos in certain routes with this here, which can leave him anywhere from plus 19 if he does one dash to just 0 and be right in front of you, which is still very very strong, as well as safe jump options. So he's kind of unlocked there in some more damage, some more routes, and some more offense really in general. Also things like his crouching medium kick, old reliable, right? Crouching medium kick Hadouken, old reliable. That's all you need to know. If you're gonna pick up Ryu, like you press his buttons and then you learn crouching medium kick Hadouken. Well, now it's actually got a slight buff, and a buff that actually helps combat another mechanic in the game that's really effective in that situation, which is drive impact. Excuse me. Is that now it actually cancels 2 frames earlier, which means even if you like call him out for it, right? Like the idea is that if you DI, which has 1 hit of armor, you kind of like press it in between there because there's a gap, and you just absorb the fireball and just punch him in his face. Well, now because it actually is 2 frames earlier, the Ryu at the earliest possible cancel can actually have enough time to then kind of counter DI you and blow you up for that, which is like really cool. It's really strong. Like I said, it kind of now helps kind of beat the gap that he had there. Like, cause it's a footsie tool. It's like crouching medium kick to fireball is just a footsie tool at the end of the day. It's just how he's gonna play. It's how he plays neutral. DI blows that up, which inherently makes it kind of bad, right? And if that's like one of his best tools, and this is a universal mechanic, that means everybody can blow him up for it, which means now his matchups get a little, are a little dicey in that range anyway. It's not his only thing, but it's like I said, it's old reliable. Not the case anymore, which is really cool. So they patched that up. Did they change axe kick as well to having like the drive gauge increase from 15 to 3500?
These drive gauge increase changes have been throwing me for a loop, by the way.
A throw loop?
Yeah. Oh, sure. Speaking of throws,
throw loops didn't get touched.
Manon got pretty good touch. I've always wanted to play Manon, but I never really got to her. But like, there's the one change that I just wanted to bring up is her medals. The more medals she gets, the more super art gauge she gets.
Yeah, that she gets, which is cool. Yeah, that's a.
It should
I mean, because getting a medal outside of getting the confirmation, what's the only other way? Like you take a guess, right? You go for a command grab, and then either you get it and you got the medal, or you don't, and you just eat. Chances are you eat a pretty hefty punish, right? Just right back.
And the super,
the least they can do is give her a little bit of super.
Yeah, the super meter you get should reflect the damage you put out. But Chun-Li's changes, again, I'm just talking about mains that I like to play. Chun-Li can now do like heavy kick SBK off of crouch medium punch and off of like the stance medium kick. So those are very popular buttons where you can get, and they wanted to give her more combo ability. I mean, I wish they would have changed her DP into an actual DP motion, not down, but for you modern,
I'm still not with that.
For you modern players, they made it a lot better to do stance as well. So like Chun-Li is, as we've seen from Evo last year, I think his name was, who was the Chun-Li player? Was it oh my gosh, I forget who it was in top 8. But he was a modern player. Chris G is also a modern Chun-Li player. There are still Chun-Li modern players out there for the ease of use of the DP. And now they made stance easier, and also stance is more viable as well. So they are praising the Capcom gods for those changes as well.
And you know who's not praising? This is going to be actually the last bit for the pats that we're going to be talking about. Are Cammy and Ed are the big losers
Couldn't be
of
Luke,
this one.
Luke got buffed, I guess.
No, Luke got buff. You know what? Luke got buff. He's the poster boy. He is on the cover of the game.
I know.
It's the rule. If you're on the cover of the game, this is like 2K. If you're on the cover of the game, you better be nice.
Yeah,
if you're not, if you're on the cover of the game and you're ass, like the whole product just fails.
But the 2K rule is usually that they get injured or something. Like it's a curse.
Oh
This
yeah,
ain't a
that's
curse.
right. that is the curse.
I thought
Well,
it was the
hopefully
Madden
Luke
curse.
does get injured.
Is that also
Madden
on the 2K curse?
Oh, okay, that's what I'm saying.
Oh
the
wait,
Madden curse.
is it the Madden curse? Okay,
the
Madden
Madden
curse.
curse,
Thank
my
you.
bad.
We play sports ball over here. We play sports ball games all the time.
But go on with your Ed and Cammy changes.
Yeah, so Cammy being, we talked earlier about her crouching medium punch, in terms of like getting whiff punish, much more whiff punishable. The hurt box going out of it, especially when you whiff her. The big thing for her, right? Like she can get out the corner very well. She has an easy time getting out the corner. Especially because of her EX cannon spike, because it does the switch sides. That's fucking gone. That's no longer the case. You stay on the same side. You don't just get out for free. It was already a really good reversal. It's still a good reversal. It's just now you do not get to get out for free like that, because that is very, very potent. That is very, very strong. Besides that, also things like her OD cannon strike has been changed up, which is her dive kick. That has been changed on hit. It's now anywhere from 0 to +2 to 0 frame advantage, or on block -2 to -4 to -2 frames. So it's like it's no the days of just being able to dive kick your way through neutral are kind of over. I'm sure there's gonna be ways to get around it, like getting it maybe to the lowest possible, like kind of meaty is still going to be an option. People are still going to find out if it's possible. But Cammy definitely got smacked up quite a bit. Even things like her crouching medium kick also ends up getting less pushback, so you get a more chance to actually smack her for that, because crouching medium kick, unless I'm thinking of heavy, I don't think that one's even special cancelable, so you can't kind of get yourself out of dodge if they actually end up blocking it. Ed, on the other hand, damn man, I want to just put it out there that Chris CCH has been the luckiest player in the Capcom Pro Tour. I suggest you go out, get some lottery tickets, and just treat yourself. Just qualified for Capcom Cup. Congrats to you. He qualified over for the US Canada West regional side, which was a super region, which means if you had the most points, you got a spot without having to worry about going through the bracket of the final. And so he got a little extra money, take that 2G you just got and get some lottery tickets, because he was an Ed player. He managed to get through it. He was the Ed player, and he now is sitting pretty in Capcom Cup. And the reason I say he's lucky is because literally the next tomorrow, Wednesday, the finals for this event is happening. We'll talk more details as to the patch itself and the timing, but he lucked out because now his character getting touched in crazy ways, like his crouching low kick is no longer something that is comboable, even on counter hit to itself, which changes things like his little blitz, his OD blitz, which just like when he does like the punching bag joint that Ed likes to do. That no longer is just like guaranteed to work. It's like what's it called? Is it the cycle blitz? Yeah, cycle blitz. Now it's like -4 on block. Like I said earlier, 4 is the magic number. If you have a -4, that means you're getting punished by lights. Like the fastest moves in the game is a jab, is a light punch or a light kick. It used to be -3.
Oof. Yep.
So that means it was free. Like it was just free. He got the damage in, or if he didn't guess right, like he could have just thrown out a crouching medium, a crouching light kick or a crouching medium punch or something like that, and just throw that out there. Doesn't have to hit confirm. If it hit confirms, cool. You're a god. If it doesn't hit confirm, it's -3. What are you gonna do? We're back to neutral. It don't matter to me. Yeah, it's crazy. They were like, yo, we're putting an end to that. We're putting an end to that. Yeah. So now, unfortunately, he's gonna be getting a lot more hits to the face from actually throwing that out there. You have to actually hit confirm it pretty well to make it effective. Kill rush, which is his whole the backwards
Super?
2 kicks joint, where his kill rush is when he does the flicker, like kind of feint back kind of deal. That one is crazy because it's got an extended hurt box. Like, I've seen the examples. Like, he could be at almost like perfect range. Like, you have to be at such perfect range from like standing fierce, standing heavy punch, and like do it. And 9 times out of 10 you can DI it on his backdash.
Yeah.
And blow him up for that on counter, which is just like, because Eds are used to kind of holding that kind of space there, and it's like, are you pressing, crouching, medium punch to medium punch, especially if it's on counter hit, to then to blitz, and now I'm in. Or it's like, hey, decides to flicker or not flicker and then cancel. It's like, oh well, there is so much space that's like you couldn't really do much to it, right? Like, you had to really call it out. Not the case anymore. Now you can just react to it and DI. And sure, some DIs are different. Some are slightly longer than others. But it looks like from what the hurt box is and how it's interacting, that shit's gonna get blown up. So once again, Super R2 is the other one. That's the last one I want to tip it, which I find weird. I want anyone that's listening to the show, if you could kind of further explain why this change was made, because I'm trying to understand it. So Super R2, his ball, the Psycho Cannon, they changed the way it affects your opponent's drive gauge.
Light version, though.
Excuse me, the light version. Sorry.
Yeah.
The light Psycho Bar. Correct. It changed the way it affects the drive gauge, because normally when you get hit, right, you lose life and you also lose drive gauge, right? You have 2 meters to worry about in Street Fighter 6, not just one. And normally when you're in a super, you kind of just get hit. Every hit you get hit in the super, your drive gauge will go down because you want to get your opponent to burn out, whatever the case. Put yourself in that situation where they can't answer back with a parry, DIs, take chip, stuff like that. It used to be 6 hits, and it would do what is 1,400 damage to your drive gauge 6 times. So that means every hit, your drive gauge is going down. Makes sense. All supers act like this. I don't know if there's any other supers that act any differently, but to my knowledge, they don't. They're all, except for like cinematics. They do like one big one at the end, but that's because it's a cinematic. That's whatever. They changed that. Instead of doing 1,400 every 6 hits, it does 0 for 6 hits, and then it does 10,000 on the last hit. Meaning drive meter doesn't actually go down until the last hit.
Right.
The kicker with that is that what does Ed like to do with the super? He likes to do a long ass combo, right? He does I don't know what the actual the terminology for the actual move itself is called, but it's like when you bounce out and come back in.
Kaiser knuckle, the
bomba
spear,
or whatever it's called, the sequence.
Yeah.
Where basically he knocks you out and you fall back into it, knocks you out, fall back into it, right? It's a pretty standard thing for Ed players to know. They should know.
And the corner carries you.
And the corner carries you, all that stuff. Well, now, as you're getting hit, instead of getting your drive gauge going down that whole time, it's actually going up. Like, so if I hit you and you started at 1 drive bar, I should by the end have you burnt out. But because it doesn't do any drive gauge damage until the very last hit, my long ass combo is actually giving you drive gauge meter. And I think it gives you almost a full one. So that means after all of that, your drive gauge, which is just another attack vector, a very important attack vector in Street Fighter 6, doesn't really get affected in this super. Which is just the weirdest fucking thing. It's like it is a nerf, but it is. It's a nerf in other ways. And it's just, I'm just trying to understand what the situation, if you're going to damage the drive gauge anyway, like, you might as well, like, if it's going to go back to, like, to breaking even, you might as well not have done any drive gauge damage at all. Like, I'm trying to understand what was the purpose. I don't know if this is intentional, but it seems like it is. Like, at least that, like, the sequence and how they damage it is the intention, but I think maybe they forgot, like, oh, yo, he's going to gain meter doing this shit. Because competitively, like, this is how, like, these guys play with this super. Weirdest change out of it all for me. I'm still trying to understand. So anyone that is listening to the podcast, sorry for that long rant, but I just wanted to really break it down for you guys to understand what that change meant, because it really is a very, very weird one on Capcom's side. And with that, yeah, one more shout out to Chris CCH for making it to Capcom Cup. But good luck to the players for the regional finals that's happening this Wednesday. Patch just dropped, and now we've got a top 8 of Chris T, Kavan, Mike X, Samurai, and they're on the losers bracket. JB, Filipino Man, Zach Boss, and Snake Eyes, all competing for a spot on a patch more or less 36 hours in. Oh, the timing is so wild that they let this rock at this point. I figured they would give it a little bit more. You know, I'm okay with a week, but damn, like 24 hours? Like characters like, you know, guys like Samurai, like, you know, they play Akuma, right? Akuma. Right. There's actually like two Akumas here, Samurai and Mike X.
Yeah.
You've got Chris T with Ken. Snake Eyes with Geef. Obviously, Zach Boys, Chun-Li, Filipino Man. Also Chun-Li and like JB with Rashid, which Rashid didn't really get, you know, once again, didn't really get touched too much.
Yeah, again, advantage on certain hits, yeah. So that's
yeah. So it's like these are characters that are getting affected. So this is really out the window as to like who could really make it. We'll just have to see who adapts. This is now no longer just a case of like who's better with their character. It's just who's adapting to the situation faster. That's the case right now.
Combo Breaker was kind of the same way, but not as drastic.
I feel like it's not.
Still.
Yeah, I feel like it's not as jarring.
And then this is online. They have to play on the new patch. Like you told me earlier.
No choice. Absolutely. So with that, I mean, this actually poses a question for us, to you guys here. What should Capcom actually patch for Street Fighter 6 next? Like, there's there's the actual like the throw loop situation. Do you think they need to actually patch Drive Rush a bit more? There's still been talks about some of the game loops here that are getting people kind of staled out about it. We're going to be posting up a poll on it. Make sure to go vote on it. It's going to be on our social medias as well as on YouTube and on Discord. Make sure to go check that out. Posting up this week, and we'll check out the results on the following week. But with that, we're going to be ending our show this week. We appreciate you guys hanging with us for another episode of Double Tap. You guys, of course, can check out the show at Double Tap FGC on all social media platforms. Literally all of them. Take a pic, throw a dart at the wall, at the dartboard. Don't do it at the wall. You know, you gotta fix that up. Do it at the dartboard. We're probably on it. But make sure to follow my awesome host. You got Static Gorilla at Static Gorilla, of course, on all social media platforms as well as on Twitch.
Yes. Basically going in, yeah, sorry. I feel like as flustered as you were talking about the wall and stuff. So this week is just more Marvel stuff. If I feel like streaming, I'm going to be focusing, however, more on Street Fighter. I was told recently by somebody, you play too many games. And I'm thinking he meant fighting games. But then I was like, wait, I'm playing Overwatch, I'm playing Hearthstone, I'm playing a lot of games.
What do you mean? It's no such thing. It's no such thing. First of all, he's not your friend. If he's telling you that, he's not your friend.
You're right. I wholeheartedly agree. It's more like a coach kind of thing, but it doesn't matter. Okay. Here's the deal.
That changes.
I'm trying to go into more Street Fighter. So more Street Fighter content coming your way, unless I get frustrated and go to Resident Evil or something. But that's what we're going to be looking at. Yep.
Okay, hey, good time once again with that patch. Plenty of your characters got messed with, so you might get a little bit of feel, a little bit of the drive gauge, if you might say.
Agreed.
Make sure to follow also at Josh Adamus, whether it be on Twitter or on Blue Sky.
Just make it Blue Sky. I don't use
just make
Twitter
it Blue Sky.
Okay.
It's over. It's Exodus. He's out.
Yeah, like I don't use it at this point. So.
Go check them out there. Make sure to follow, of course. You can follow me at CrashTagVS on Twitter still. I'm still there. But I'm not on Blue Sky. I'm only on Twitter, I think, right now. I'm going to have to double check that. But you can follow me there. I like a lot of awesome creators out there in the fighting game scene. And actually, because of that feed, it helps me kind of find really cool people that we highlight here on this show. So, hey, once again, if you have something cool, if you do something really cool in the fighting game scene, whether it's art, if you 3D print, you do mods, any of that, make sure to tag me and tag the show, which the show is at Double Tap FGC on Twitter as well. Let us know. Once again, guys, post us up on any kind of articles, things you guys want us to check out. Make sure to follow for those polls, give me questions, all that good stuff. And make sure to also check out our Discord, doubletap.gg/Discord. Come join our awesome community. Come say what's up. Come take the challenges that have been put up there. If you want to get some games on, let us know. The holiday season is here. Some of y'all got breaks. You still catch these hands. They're rated E for everybody. Anytime, just let me know. Tag me or tag, once again, any of our awesome members out there. Shout outs to you guys out there on the grind. And once again, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube. We have a video version of this podcast available on the YouTube there, where we also post up the polls We read every comment. We check out every kind of feedback you guys give us. We love it. We want to see it. We want to hear about it. Make sure to check it out. Once again, Double Tap at Double Tap FGC. That's going to be it for this week, guys. We do have a quick announcement, though. Just a heads up, which we'll echo on the next episode as well. Hey, for the rest of December, because of the holiday season, December 24th and the 30th, there will not be any new Double Tap episodes, but we will have a bonus round coming out for you guys. We'll be back for our 400th episode in January on the 7th. When we come back, once again, everybody enjoy those holiday times. Sit down, get in that training mode, get on that matchup so you can go into 2020. What is it? 2025? I almost said 2026. 2025. Much, much better. But once again, guys, December 24th and 30th, no episode, but we'll have a bonus round for you guys ready to go.
A time zone change puts you in a different year zone.
It's throwing me in a straight... I will be at one point. I will be in a different year. That's it, guys. Appreciate y'all hanging out with us, and we'll see you guys on the next episode. Peace.